Live, where real fans talk about real sports, only on the New Orleans Talk Network. Like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, because we're not just a sports talk show, we're a talk show about sports.
Well, what's up, everybody? This is boy Coach Hurricane here. You can follow me on Facebook at Henry Singleton or on Twitter at HenryHayoU15.
Listen, this is your boy Fred. Listen, you can follow me on Facebook at Brandon Fred Jones, or you can follow me on Twitter at BFredJones.
This is Jeremiah Gray, man, with GSportz. You can follow me on Facebook, Jeremiah Gray, AKG, and on Twitter, G_paid in full 08. Pay me the money! money.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to FanView Live. Real fans talk sports, New Orleans Talk Network. Man, thank y'all subscribing to FanView Live page of you on Facebook and on YouTube and on IG. And y'all already know what it is. It's FanView, no left view on Twitter. And if you're on Twitter tonight, the page is being televised on NOTN Live. I'm DatBoyFred. Listen, this episode of FanView Live, it's about the coronavirus. My man GSportz, down there in Lake Charles right now, covering the high school basketball tournament. And I'm looking for some update from him on how that's going to particularly play out with the attendance out there in Lake Charles. My man Coach Hurricane here is down there in Baton Rouge tonight. But this episode of FanView Live is strictly about the coronavirus, y'all, and how it is literally impact sporting events around this country. The number to call in this show is 563-999-1808. That is the number to call the show tonight. Again, 563-999-1808. Guys, everybody's been talking about the coronavirus. I don't think you can go nowhere in the country and not talk the coronavirus. It has taken this wave of impact. This pandemic has been now, made its way to the U.S. and over in a very fast, rapid pace of time, has just literally became what everyone is discussing, what everyone's talking about. And it literally canceled sporting events. Obviously, if you're not living underneath the rock, everyone kind of has the clue that the coronavirus has, the NBA has announced the suspending of the season. Due to the coronavirus. Obviously, there was a player, Rudy Gobert, who was tested positive for the coronavirus. And after that particular case, it broke that the NBA decided to suspend the NBA yesterday. Obviously, earlier today, the NCAA decided to cancel the NCAA tournament. And there's other sporting events that are coming out breaking news that's canceling their sporting events, such as the XFL is currently right now, suspended. Here's my question to everyone. Like I said, the number to call the show is 563-999-1808. Is this pandemic of the coronavirus a real thing, or are we just overreacting? Has sports overreacted to the coronavirus? Have everyone literally, is everyone overreacting to this? That is the question I have for everybody tonight. Again, tune in, subscribe, leave your comment. Let's talk about this. Let's discuss this, thoroughly. And I'm one of those fans that just believe the NBA made the right call. I believe that the NBA made the right decision in canceling, suspending this current season up to this point. There was a lot of talk about the coronavirus and what could be expected if it can, continue on its pace. What people were thinking about doing. They was talking about actually still playing the games, but just having no fan attendance. They was talking about that in terms of the NCAA playing the NCAA tournament, but no having fan attendance, which to me is just ludicrous. That's the most insane thing I've ever heard of still having a sporting event without fan attendance. Other leagues have taken on the same approach. The XFL decided to cancel, up to this current point. is everyone overreacting? Have you been, noticing the coronavirus has, up to date, there's been a total case in the United States, 1,215 cases and the total deaths of 36. That's the total amount of cases up to this point. That's according to the cdc.gov/coronavirus. Has everyone overreacted? Is everyone, everyone now, if you go to your grocery store, you can't buy rubbing alcohol. You can't buy, obviously any disinfectant. You can't buy, wet wipes. You can't buy hand sanitizer. Everyone has taken, the coronavirus to what we would probably call an extreme. But it's kind of one of those cases where, what do you do? What do you do? Like I said, they had a player in the NBA who had it, and you have to take the right precautionary measures. So I think that the NBA made the right decision. I think the NBA was the first league that came out and decided to suspend the season. And I think personally, on a personal level, all sporting events should be canceled. All sporting events should be. That goes for NBA. That goes for NCAA sports. Obviously, you've been following sports. The SEC has decided to, cancel the Big Ten, the Pac-12. All of them decided, athletics decided to cancel their events. I think all sporting events in the United States need to be canceled, at least for the next 30 days. That goes for NASCAR. That goes for Major League Baseball. That goes for hockey. That goes for golf. Boxing. To me, what makes sports is the fan attendance. That's what makes sports. Because the fans, to me, couldn't be in attendance. To me, it's just a scrimmage, or it's just practice. To me, playing a NBA basketball game without fan attendance, to me, it's just a scrimmage. It's just practice. There's no value in playing the entire game with fans are not in attendance. There's no value in the XFL playing football and being televised, but no fans are in attendance. To me, that's just a scrimmage. That's just practice. That goes for basketball. That goes for baseball. That goes for boxing. Think about boxing. If fans can't be in attendance for fight night and two guys got to fight, to me, that's just a sparring match. Just go ahead and cancel the event if fans can't be in attendance to watch the venue. So to me, until the coronavirus has been what I would call, the word's not under control, but until new policies have been created and invented for sporting events, I think sporting events should be canceled in all major sports. That goes for college athletics. That goes for pros. Like I said, Major League Baseball, I think NASCAR. I would even go as far as tennis. As far as golf is concerned. Anytime you can have, like I said, sports is all about fan participation. If fans can't participate, then to me, it's just practice. You can't do nothing with it. It's not something that people want to read or watch and be televised. I even go as far as NASCAR. I even go as far as horse riding. All these participation things should be canceled until new policies are created for sporting events. That's just my take, man. Y'all guys tune in. Leave your comments. Again, the number to call in the show is 563-99-1808. I'm just looking at this and I'm saying to myself, man, this is in Italy, over 1,000 reported deaths. In China, a lot of reported deaths. This coronavirus is a serious thing, and it has sports by the to me by the balls. And I think that at the end of the day, they're taking the right measures to make sure that this virus can be under control. I don't think, like I mentioned earlier, I don't think sporting events should be, what's the term I'm looking for? They should be canceled. You think about the attendance of people being in one place, and I think it should be canceled for the dominant reason of teams and organizations can't control the liability of what's going on, if that makes sense. They can control the fact that if somebody attended their event, there was no policies in place to help prevent a possible outbreak of this magnitude. People, from my homework, are getting the coronavirus due to, touching someone else who may or may not don't know is affected. It's pretty much contact with somebody. Do a cough or do a sneeze or some kind of interaction or some sort of distance. This thing's kind of maybe people. I'm not calling it airbound. I'm just pretty much basically saying this is how people are reporting getting the coronavirus. And when there's going to be a total of fatalities that's keep increasing, you have to take precautionary measures. You have to take the right necessary precautionary steps. I said this out there on Twitter, and people were just literally just overreacting to the NBA's decision to deciding to cancel its season. Suspend the season. And I think the NBA is directly correct. I think they took the bulls by the horns. And I know that, other events in our life or other things in our life, such as maybe education, schools is probably still open. Jobs are still, going on, but as far as sports is concerned, where a lot of people come together as, kind of a union, then yeah, I think you have to cancel it. I think you have to suspend this for a while until new policies are created, until new policies are formed so that they can protect themselves, from this type of outbreak. I think the coronavirus right now is just a new thing. It's just a new, to me, I call it like the expensive, it's an expensive flu, so to speak. And again, I can't take away from what the NBA decided to do. I think other sports should just follow. Boxing, MMA, mixed martial arts. I think their sporting events should be canceled for the next 30 days. I think any sporting events you could really think about. I think this will also trickle to other venues. Like I'm down here in New Orleans, if you're watching this here on the internet. And trust me, we got things such as Jazz Fest, different festivals throughout the city. New Orleans could be, up for some cancellation, canceling because of the amount of people that could be in attendance. But back, that's just, trickling to over there. But when you're talking about sports, you have to take the right measures. Have to take right measures. Until new policies can be in place, until the arenas are, pretty much, disinfectant free, so to speak, as far as, things end up being wiped down, things being, all the right precautionary measures to just go about, with this virus. This virus has, again, in other parts of the world have a higher fatality rate than the United States. But again, the fatality rate is, high. And I say high, it's not a 50 or 75%. I think it's reported right now 3%, so to speak. But that's a higher number than something of the flu. And when you got the president passing a bill of $8.5 billion to go out here and try to get some aiding, for this, then it's a real serious, pandemic. This is a real issue that needs to be, severely addressed. And I think the NBA is the first, one to come out there and basically, like I said, the SEC, came out there and said they cancel all sports until March 30th. And for the coronavirus concerns. That means basketball, any other sports. It could be track and field, any place where you could pretty much have fan attendance. They're canceling those events. And again, I cannot blame them. I cannot, say that they're wrong. this is something that probably need this. This is something that's a realistic thing. It has to happen. Can't take nothing from them. Gotta cancel it. Gotta, that's just measure that has to be done. In trying to get to some of the comments that we got in here. It's one of the things, man. Like I said, this virus has really pretty much, taken this wave very, very, very fast. It has swept the United States swiftly, very, very fast. And I think the NBA is doing the right thing by canceling their season altogether. You have to take into consideration the lives of people. You just do. You can't look at this as a situation where it's just going to go away. No. Everyone's talking about it. Everybody's, trying to see what's going on. And again, I'm not a doctor by any means. I don't know exactly, all the precautionary measures, things you can do. But this is why you cancel sports. When you got something that can if you're in contact with other people and you can affect, lives of other people. Think about an event of an NBA game. Typically they can hold 13,000 people. Think about the XFL, those football teams. They can hold an attendance of 70 to 80,000 people. Yeah, you have to, cancel, a season. You have to get rid of these things. These things that you have to pretty much, they have to go. But I don't think the coronavirus is going to be a virus that's going to be around for a long period of time. I think this is a pandemic that we're going to have, for at least for the next, to me personally, between now and I'll probably say May. I think once May hits, I think we're going to be at a point where the coronavirus is going to be up. I think that the NBA will have, or different other sporting events will have enough policies and procedures in place to kind of mitigate their liability of a potential outbreak. I think it was important for sporting events to cancel off the sheer fact of it gave them time to know what they was going to do and how they was going to go about it. And I think that was strictly important. I don't know. When you look at the situation at hand, no one knows if they're even contaminated or not. No one even knows if they're affected. No one even knows that they're, at risk, so to speak. People don't know. People walk around every day. Do they know that they're affected? They don't have a clue. They just don't know. And what happens is when you don't know, you got to take the precautionary measures to making sure that the people around you are going to be protected and safe. I don't really see that no other way. That's just me. That's just how I look at things. That's just how I view it. You got to take the precautionary measures to make sure that the people around you at your sporting event are going to be protected. They're going to be safe. They're going to be around, people who can. How can I put this in words, man? This thing is serious. It's serious. Like I said, according to the CDC, you got a situation where, again, 1,200 affected, 36 dead. Now, I will say this. I've never seen such a small sample size of cases. 1,200 people affected in the United States, only 36 deaths, for where this kind of catastrophic move has happened. I don't recall in my adult life where you look at something that's this low in cases, as total affected, this many deaths, and you say to yourself, man, you're going to stop sporting events. I've never seen this happen before. But the first outbreak started obviously in China, has made its way to, Europe. Right now, the president even stopped flights from Europe to the United States. That is in effect. That is a real thing right now. So when you start to put all these things into some sort of understanding, you got to ask yourself some real questions. What's going on, and how do you mitigate this thing? How do you get around this thing? How do you, make sure that, people are going to be safe? So what do? You cancel events. It's the best way I can put it. That's the best thing you can do. I don't really think there's nothing else safer you can do. And this goes on to, and I will mention this, I think college basketball, as far as March Madness, I think it's over. I don't think you're going to have March Madness this year. I don't think that March Madness is going to come back. I don't think March Madness is going to play out. That's just not what I think. I think March Madness is over. I think that if you've been in college, people, have, contacted me, sent me messages, say, you think March Madness is going to start up in May, you think he's going to start up in, June. I don't think so. I don't think you can. I've been to college. I was a college student. Trust me. There's nothing more crazier is probably trying to have a basketball game and having finals at the same time. It's not going to work. Certain college, certain sporting events are just going to be canceled. They're not going to come back. I think Major League Baseball needs to start canceling games. And when you cancel a game, I don't think you need to try to replay that game. I think the NBA suspended their season up to this point, and I don't think they're going to be able to replay those games. I don't think they're going to be able to, man, you know what? Let's say they start their season back up in, let's say, beginning of April. Let's say April 10th or April 12th. You can't make up a month of the NBA. I think you have to start where you're at. Now, there are other events that I think can make up. Like if you're a mixed martial arts, you have the, UFC. I think if you cancel an event, I think you can make up that event at a later date and later time. But if you're basketball, certain sports are just seasonal sports. College basketball is a seasonal sport. I think that people have told me, Fred, do you think that March Madness come back? It's a seasonal thing. Once the season is up, it's up. Can you make up Christmas in February? No. Once Christmas is past, it's past. Once the time of certain events have passed, it's done. Because you got to prepare yourself for a new season. It's just what it is. I don't think we're going to have a March Madness tournament this year. I think this is going to be the first year that the tournament is getting ready to start. By time where conference championships were going into play, and you had this outbreak. If you got to start March Madness in the middle of April, that's typically when the tournament ends. The Final Four starts typically around the first week of April. You can't start the tournament the first week of April and say to yourself, hey, man, guess what? We're going to have this tournament going on till mid-May. No. It's over. Can't make it up. If you're the XFL, I don't think the XFL are going to make up games. Games that have to be canceled, they're going to be canceled. You can't make those games up. Certain sports are seasonal. I think Major League Baseball, they're going to cancel again. Thank God. Too long of a season anyway. Again, guys, if y'all want to call in, have a conversation about this subject, number is 563-999-1808. Right now, we're talking strictly the coronavirus. How is it affecting sports, sporting events? My take is every sporting event in the United States, should be canceled. At least for the next 30 days, it should be strictly canceled. Period. Until we as a country, have a understanding of what this is and how to contain it when it comes to being around people, creating new policies, creating new procedures, in place at sporting events, then I think, sports should be stopped. I don't think there's no such thing as having a sport played out and fans can't be in attendance. To me, like I mentioned earlier, that's just practice or it's a scrimmage. No one wants to see a televised scrimmage or practice. No way. I think NBA are not going to make up those games. I think in the next month or so, I think the regular season, it should be finished. I think by the time they get all the policies and procedures in place, I think whoever was the 8th seed in the playoffs, you're in. Playoffs should just start exactly where they're at. Wherever you're at in the season, you don't make up those games. Now, I am a bit sorry for the people who work in sports arenas, people who work around sports, people who are the hourly wage people. We have no idea how long they're going to be out of work because of this. This affects a lot of people financially. It just does. I know people don't want to talk about those things, but it just do. There's a lot of hourly wage employees. This doesn't just affect, the athlete itself. Think about the people who are working in your sporting events. That they're strictly hourly employees. They're out of work. You cancel the NBA season, you're out of work for a while. You cancel a major league season, or think how much revenue the March Madness was going to generate. All those people are out of work. And like I mentioned to everybody earlier, I don't think March Madness is coming back. I think there's a season for it, and I think it's done. Next month you have the Masters down there in Augusta, Georgia. I think that if you don't have a new policy and a new procedure in place, I think the Masters is one of the biggest golfing tournaments in the world. Could be canceled. Coronavirus. Can't have the people in attendance. Just can't. Until new policy, new procedures go into enforcement and go into play. It's just what it is. So when I look at it and I say to myself, what's going on, this is kind of the things I see. These are some of the things I partake in. Y'all let me know if y'all disagree with me. Let me know if y'all disagree with me. Like I said, I think all sporting events should be canceled for the next 30 days. Like I said, it doesn't matter if it's MLB. It doesn't matter if it's NBA, college athletics, MMA, boxing, golf, NASCAR, NHL, hockey, Wimbledon, tennis. I think all major sporting events should be canceled until there's some update, for this particular virus, for what can be done and what is planning to be done about this. Until that happens, I think that again it should be canceled. I don't think that should be in play. I don't think that nothing should be going on. That's just me. That's me just taking the side of precaution. And that precaution is a real thing. Like I said, no sporting events want to be the media fiasco of coronavirus. Imagine you having a sporting event and then come and find out from your sporting event that several people end up getting diagnosed potentially from this event. And let's say a fatality happened for one of the affected. No major sporting event wants to be, you don't want that narrative. Trust me. I can tell you right now as a fan, Twitter, Facebook, now you got Snapchat, now you have TikTok, all these social media platforms, YouTube. You do not want to be the sports venue that is taking this on and saying to yourself, man, trust me when I tell you, you don't want to be that sporting venue. You just don't. If you're that sporting venue, I can bet your dollar right now, you're in trouble. Now I gotta go and go get my, what I would call that, sanitizer. You know, have it out there in the hall. But it's one of those cases you don't want to be that sporting venue or that sporting event to say, you know what, not me. You don't want to be that sporting event. Trust me, I know you don't. This is why I recommend, as a fan, you cancel them. Just cancel. Can't go wrong. Cannot go wrong. If you cancel, I think that you can salvage your business for a while. Right now, even the world economy has taken some deficit from this. The world economy has suffered significantly from this. If you look at the Dow Jones, this coronavirus is so serious. I don't even recall as an adult when I seen the stock trading floor close for a day during the actual work week, that it closed. There was no trading being done. That's how massive this is. That's how news and media this has become. That trading, stock market, exchanges were canceled. People have lost, some people, 1/3 of their retirement in a matter of a day or two, a matter of a week. Like, whatever you thought you had, trust me, this is the worst time you could think of trying to pull out money from a 401k or a retirement plan. Trust me, it's not something you want to be doing right now. It's just not. You'll take a financial beating. But back to this, man. Like I said, this is a real issue, a real major thing. Like I said, when it comes to sports and what it's all about, fan participation, fan interaction, fans' presence is everything. And when you can't have that in sports, you have to cancel. You got to shut it down. You got to lock it down. You can't say, well, we're going to still have the sport go on, but we can only have a small attendance of people. We can't have no one in the building, but games got to be played to a certain aspect. Can't do that. Can't do that. That's not effective. That's not going to work. That's not what really sports is about. Like I said, this coronavirus has really, got everybody on edge. It has everybody worried. And I think that, as a country, we're just not ahead of it. No one knows if they're affected or not. No one knows, what the proper procedures are to go and get diagnosed. Like I mentioned earlier when I started this show, the NBA made it a cancellation due to the fact that one of their players was tested positive for it. Come to find out that one of his teammates also tested positive for it. And so, from what was told, not the remaining of the Utah Jazz staff, was affected. Everybody got tested. But I think total in all so far, I think the state of Utah has 4 people affected. 4 out of a population of 1 million plus people. Such a small number. But that's what the coronavirus has done. It has taken us as a country, as a nation of people, and had us on full alert. Again, Italy has over 1,000 fatalities. China, God knows how many fatalities they had. Every measure is taken to an extreme when it's going to account for a potential fatality rate that you can't think of. and that could possibly be the case. So it's one of these things that when it comes to sports, I think it's one of the things we'll all remember. Again, like I said earlier, certain sporting events won't be able to make up what they're going to lose. There are certain sports that ain't gonna be able to make up March Madness. For those college kids and for the people who put those events on and who book the renovations in the hotel rooms, so there's a lot that goes into that. But I don't think you can make up March Madness in June or May, for that matter. I don't think the NBA is going to be able to make up the remainder of their regular season by the time, when you're looking at, let's say the start of end of April, early May, when they want to, resume basketball possibly and start the playoffs. I don't think you can make up the remaining regular season games and then try to go into your playoff. And I think when it comes to sports, you're going to have to start from where you're at. Now, and there are going to be some sporting events that I think you can push back. You can push on. If there's a NASCAR event, I think you can push a NASCAR event from this time to this time. I think you can do that. I think that if there's a tennis event, I think you can move a tennis event. I think that could be done. I don't really see tennis as a seasonal sport. I think you can move the Masters. I think you can move the Masters from normally what happens in April to June. I think that could be done. NBA, NHL, for that matter, can't replace those games. XFL, I think you can't move their games. I think you can't make that adjustment. I don't think you can look at the XFL and say to yourself, man, yeah, we're going to get those games back. Nah. Other things are going to get that time. Other things are going to be in that place. And so for you to be in competition with those people possibly during their season, you're not going to get the reaction or the value that you're looking for. But I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see how this all shakes out. I'm interested to see how, when the sporting events, reopen, such as the NBA, what are you going to be doing when time to enter an arena? That goes for college athletics. What the new policies and what the new procedures are going to be. It's going to be an interesting year going forward due to the coronavirus of sporting events. Where everybody had to get hand sanitizer before you get in the building, Is everybody going to get a little tube, Is everybody going to have a wet wipe when you walk inside of a stadium, These are some of the things, my mind thinks about, when I go inside of a sporting event, what's going to be the case? What it's going to look like? How do I, what can I expect? As far as policy changes, to help, prevent, any potential, outbreak. And also, you have to consider, a high mass of safety. That's just the reality. When you're looking at sporting events, you got to think about the welfare and the safety of the people that's going to be at those events. And with this particular virus, you can't measure how many people or their safety. So the liability is much bigger than the financial reward, if that makes sense. That's why people ask me all the time, why do you cancel sporting events? Why the NBA is canceling this? Because the reward isn't higher than the liability. What happens if I go into a sport or NBA game and I come to find out that the 13,000 people here, let's say 10% of them could be possibly affected. That's 1,300 people. Just imagine those 1,300 people going home to family and friends and God knows where and spreading and expanding a potential outbreak. Can't happen. Can't have it. The NBA, or that particular sporting event will be completely liable. So, again, like I mentioned earlier, all sporting events to me should be coming on board. Taking what the NBA has done, taking that bull by the horns, suspending their season for now, college basketball being suspended, MLB, to me, UFC, MMA, boxing, you could think of it, sporting events should be canceled. Now, that doesn't mean that, entertainment events would be canceled, like concerts. I'm not talking about that. They may take the measure themselves, and saying, they may, decide to cancel their particular sporting events. I am definitely speaking for sports, though. Cancel. No, let's have a game without fans' participation or fans' attendance. Nah, we ain't swinging that one. We not believing in that one. You cancel. I think when you come back, I expect, a game, a Saints game, when NFL stuff. Matter of fact, some of the NFL decided to suspend, some of the, teams travel, due to the corona. Everything that people are doing right now are literally trying to mitigate or limit a potential outbreak. They don't know who's affected. And they don't know what the first steps are to preventing the limitation of a potential outbreak. There's no policy, there's no laws, there's no anything in place. It's just what it is. Now I want to read what Brian Jenkins says. I was able to attend the Lakers-Bucks game and Lakers-Clippers at Staples last weekend. Never thought that would basically be the end of the season. Brian, I gotta agree with you. No one probably thought this would be the end of a basketball season or end of March Madness or end of Wimbledon or end of any sporting event. I think the NBA does come back. Like I said, I think the coronavirus is going to be a virus that is something that's for the next 30 days is on a headline of every piece of paper, article, what have you, can mention. But I don't think that it's going to be the headline in June or July. I think people are still going to mention the name of the coronavirus, but I think policies and procedures are going to be in place for this particular outbreak. Right now, I think the NBA is canceling, they're suspending their season. But I think the NBA will come back at some point. I don't think the NBA comes back now. Now, granted, if this potential situation with the coronavirus continues to linger on, then the NBA, you just want to have an NBA champion. You can't make up these games later on. I definitely will tell you that. There's no way you can suspend the season and say we're going to come back and make up games. No. Because, again, everyone, when it comes to sports, we are on what I will call seasonal time. And what I mean about seasonal time is that you have a season to play your sport. You are in a timeline when your sport can exist and have an existence or have life or have some sort of, growth of attendance of people. The people get involved, people get active because we are creatures of habit. So come July, you think I still have a fever for want to know what the NBA is doing? No, I have a fever for the upcoming NFL season. You get what I'm saying? Like, each season, each sport has their season. You can't make up March Madness in June. Yeah, we're going to put the tournament on. Yeah, we had a champion. Let's go get this. Nah, no, you had your opportunity. You missed your time. We can't. Your era is the coronavirus. You got to take your lick. It's a real thing. It's a real reality. I don't think you can be able to make up this whatsoever. I don't see that's not how it's gonna work. But I agree with you, Brian. Never thought about it. And you heard Commissioner Silva speak about this, saying, hey, with this potential outbreak, we're watching it. There's a potential chance that we could be hosting games without, without fan attendance. That was being talked about and being talked about and being talked about. Commissioner Silva mentioned that a few times. He mentioned that. Then come to find out this has become a reality, for the NBA. And I can't knock Commissioner, Silva for what he has done. You got to think about next month. You have the NFL draft out there in Vegas. What can we expect from that sporting event? So many different sporting events going on nationwide. And again, everyone has a calendar to get certain things done at a certain time. because sports is all, even though sports is a year-round thing, 12 months, that we always having some entertainment involved in sports, but each sport has a season. And so right now the NBA season is current, basketball season is current. You know, can't make up what you can't play. Just can't do it. That's not how this works. But Brian, I love the comment. Let's keep it coming. If you want to call in again, the number is 563-999-1808. This episode of FanView Live is strictly about the coronavirus. And again, people, if you're going to the store still looking for disinfectant items, your store may be sold out. Hand sanitizers, wet wipes. If you can, get some rubbing alcohol. If you can, I think if you mix rubbing alcohol with another item, you can create your own sanitizer. I forgot the name of the word. It's in my head. It starts with an A. But I would say this, and this is not sports related, but I would say this. For a lot of people who are out here buying an expensive amount of, sanitizer, wet wipes, for people who don't know, I'm a parent, I'm a father of two, and for people who are out there just buying bulks and bulks and bulks of sanitizers, listen, man, sanitizers is really for parents who have infants and newborn kids. People don't know, if you don't have a child, parents use wet wipes to wipe down their kid. These are why these disinfectants are in place, because these babies and these infants don't really have an immune system yet. So that's why the normal purchase of wet wipes and hand sanitizers are really for parents who have infancy kids. So for people who are out buying, hand sanitizers, and then you're buying wet wipes, and I get it. You're taking your necessary, precautionary, thing you want to do. But just be mindful about the fact that the market who really buys these items, are parents with infancy kids. And if you're an adult, this is probably one of your first times buying hand sanitizer, unless you have a child. So just be mindful of that, man, because, I went inside of a store earlier today and seen one lady buying like 5 hand sanitizers, and she didn't have no kids. And I was like, listen, chick, save something for parents who really do, because when this whole coronavirus thing's passed and certain things, blow over, and we all move on with our, I would call daily program, parents still are going to be in stores buying wet wipes and hand sanitizers, because again, they're parents, and those are some of the items that they normally buy. So just keep that in mind, people who are out there, buying hand sanitizers and buying, things of an extreme. I get it. We all want to be precautious. We all want to be alert. But trust me, I'm thinking about parents right now when I say that. So just be mindful. But again, I think throughout the days, I try to keep everybody updated, FanView Live, about what's going on in the tournament. Like I said, NCAA tournament officially canceled. College athletic for most of these Power 5 schools or conferences are canceled. XFL canceled. It just goes into place of this situation is a pandemic. And like I said, I'm reading a source right now in the NBA. NBA owners want a 30-day reevaluation. Like I mentioned earlier, and I started the show, I said they should be, 30 days. Now I'm reading one sporting event, WrestleMania, WWE, is still recommitted to holding WrestleMania. So that's one of the major sporting events that is still intact at the present moment. They're still continue to go ahead and go on with WrestleMania. that would be interesting to see. If people don't follow WrestleMania or wrestling, WWE, I've been to WrestleMania before. Been to it twice, and I'll tell you one thing I know. It's by far one of, I think, the second largest or third largest sporting event out there. I'm talking about right underneath the Super Bowl and probably underneath the World Cup. WrestleMania is up there. And right now the WWE is stating that WrestleMania is still, they're still committed to it. That's another event I think that if you had to cancel it, you really can't move it. And I know, again, I know a lot of people who tune into this program and doing this FanView Live, you're probably not a wrestler, enthusiast. Probably since you was a kid, at least. You're probably not watching WWE now. Or some of you may still do it probably, But I'm just want to mention that the WWE is still saying that they're currently on board of having it. Brandon Lowe says, "Just be mindful and wash your hands." Yeah. Agreed. Wash your goddamn hands. Something I got to do when I get out of here. Because I had a cough. Yeah, I definitely 100% agree with that. Got to wash your hands. But, like I said, this is an interesting year. To me, I tweeted this out there earlier. There's, to me, 2 pandemics that's happened so far this decade of 2020, both involving losses. As far as their impact, obviously, to me, Kobe Bryant loss was a pandemic, just in terms of its impact of the tragedy. And to me, this is going to be the second pandemic, which is the coronavirus. The fatalities of the coronavirus, obviously the impact of it globally, and how it's perceived and how it's felt. To me, this is very weird. 90 days. This hadn't even been 90 days. We're talking about from January 26th to ain't even been June. Ain't even been March. Ain't even been 60 days. And we having 2 global pandemics in terms of loss and how people perceive it as impact. It's pretty freaking interesting. Great start for 2020. Yeah. Freaking crazy, right? So that's why I want to keep y'all ahead of, and keep y'all abreast of, I don't think the coronavirus is one of the worst viruses that that we're gonna have, that we're gonna experience. I think there was the Spanish flu, was probably reported as one of the worst of all time. Ebola was way worse than with this. Worse than the coronavirus, but Ebola, I think, from my understanding, remained on the continent of Africa. It didn't really get out of there. I think that's where it really stood and really took place at. So when I look at what's going on, do I think the coronavirus is something that's man, it's gonna be the worst thing ever? No. I just think that, and the coronavirus ain't new. Like, the coronavirus has been out a decade ago, for people who don't know. Like, the coronavirus ain't a new virus. This is a new strand of the coronavirus. So people think, this is the first thing we've heard. No, it's been out before. But it's a new strand of it, and the people who are, becoming the fatality victims of it are people who are older. That's being reported. Older people, have suffered fatalities from the coronavirus. And, people who also have respiratory and immune system, issues are also being, part of the fatality rate. Doesn't mean that you in great bill of health, that if you get the coronavirus that you're going to survive. Doesn't mean that you have a bad respiratory or immune system and you get the coronavirus that you're going to have, be a fatality. But it is important that we all stay, up to date and aware of what, this impact of the coronavirus can do. Just what it is. This is something that's gonna be monitored, throughout the weeks. I can see myself, Brian Jenkins says, SRAS was a strand of the coronavirus. Yeah. Agreed. And so it just goes into, measures of understanding what this is, and like I mentioned earlier, you know, hand sanitizer or wet wipes. I think if you buy rubber and alcohol, I forgot something else. If you kind of mix it together, you can kind of create your own hand sanitizer if you can get some rubber and alcohol. Just be mindful. Like I said, a lot of times you look at disinfectants. The main purchase of disinfectants throughout the year are parents with children. So people who go in there, you know, need to be mindful that parents are not buying it in bulk because they kids need it more than you think. Speaking as a parent of two, but that's what that is. You know, the coronavirus to me isn't one of the worst viruses that we're gonna have. I don't even think it's gonna be in the top 10. But when you think about the social media generation now, you're looking at Snapchat, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, now TikTok, and so many other ones, you know, that you're gonna have. It is made, and because again I mentioned, you know, it's because of the amount of contact people have with each other. It's taking this coronavirus to the next level, and I think that's something that people need to keep in mind. Aloe vera, that's what I'm talking about. You make it with rubbing alcohol or witch hazel, which aloe vera is an essence of that. There you go. That's what I'm looking for. The aloe vera. You can make it with that. You can make your own hand sanitizer. That's correct, Miss Brianna Lowe. That's what I'm looking for. See, I had it here, it just wasn't coming out. But that's what I'm looking for. That's what you can make, you know, your own sanitizer with. You know, rubbing alcohol with witch hazel with aloe vera. Long story short, people. And some people don't even think about it like that, but you know, that's just some information because I know some people just out there just going very crazy behind hand sanitizer. Like I said, I got some, but I also have nieces and nephews, and I really, you know, want to have those things really for them more than anything. You know, that's just, you know, my outlook on it. But like I said, I wasn't gonna be that long tonight, guys. That's gonna be my episode. Like I said, I wanted to do a strict episode about this, the coronavirus. Everyone stay safe. You know, keep yourself protected. You know, get some disinfectant. Go get some Lysol if you can. Go do what you can do to try to protect yourself and get yourself protected. And that way, you know, if you feel like yourself catching the sniffles or getting coughs or getting like that, you know, go get yourself checked. You know, like I mentioned earlier to start this show, you know, the coronavirus has affected the sports world through and through. And I think for the next 30 days, you know, the sports world is going to be deeply, deeply impacted. And so as time goes on, I try to keep y'all updated on sports and how the coronavirus has taken its impact. But that's my episode of FanView Live, guys. Y'all stay tuned. Subscribe to the page if you're on Facebook. Subscribe to the page if you're on YouTube. You know, IG, FanView Live. If you're on Twitter, it's FanView NOLA. Again, y'all have a great night and stay safe. You know, and get yourself checked if you need to. Y'all have a great evening, and hopefully I see y'all next week. Y'all have a good one.